So, how you doing? You good? Welcome to Native Sessions Berlin. My name is Tony Nwachukwu, your host and moderator for the evening. Hello to you online. I know you can't see me, but I can see you. Just to know, to the right of your screen, there's a chat box. Feel free to send your questions, thoughts, comments, and we'll do our best to answer them throughout the event. So this night is kind of in 3 sections, well, 4 really. I won't tell you the 4th one until later. First section, we're going to have Eric, and he's going to give us a wonderful tractor demonstration in a second. Then after Eric, we've got a talk with some of the couple of guys behind the development of STEMs and the STEMs ecosystem. And then lastly, we have a couple of artists who have had the privilege of using STEMs for a while, and they'll talk through their experiences and some of the things that you should think about when you're using STEMs. So I hope you think that's quite a decent package for this evening, don't you think? Quite a lot to take in, yeah? And also you'd have lots of time to answer questions. So if you do get questions after each section, I'll give you the opportunity to think about answering your questions, all right? Is that cool? Okay, excellent. So, Eric, where are ye?
Right here. Hello.
Give up for Eric, everybody.
Hi.
So
I just keep on talking now, right?
No, you don't talk, you just do.
Yeah, warm welcome from me as well. My name is Eric. I work for Native as their product specialist. And I have the pleasure to show you STEMs in action today before we get into all the details, how it works, the mastering stuff, how it was developed, how you can make your own STEMs. I just want to give you a brief overview of how a DJ would use the STEMs. So I've just loaded a couple of STEM tracks here in my tractor, and the great thing about STEMs is that they just work like a normal track that you load into tractor. So there's nothing you have to learn, there's nothing you have to think about. And for me, it's always a pleasure to show it to people because it's really quick and it just works. But just to demonstrate how a track works normally, I just hit start here and do some things that everyone can do with any other track. I could also have a turntable here right now or a CDJ and could use the time code to control my music. But since we are a bit small on space, I just do it like this. But yeah, let's just make some sounds. So while the track is playing, I can just go in there and do something like looping. Or I could jump to a hot cue. So this works all as expected, and it's a STEM track right now. And you can see in my waveform, it also looks like a track. That's actually what I just did. I'm gonna put it into STEM mode now because we're gonna talk about STEMs. And you can see how I can see everything, like every track, every stem and its waveforms. And here in the display I can see I have drums, I have bass, I have pads, and I have a percussion for this track. If you look at this display over here, I can see I have drums, I have bass, I have a melody, and I have vocals. And as a producer or as a label, you can actually decide what kind of stem you put on there, how you name them. You can also decide what colors that should be. But like I said, we're gonna get into more the technical detail later. And I'm just trying to play with the stem a little bit because everything that happens right now is going to happen in these 4 rows. So I can see that the drums here, and I'm just going to take the drums away now. Also take the percussion away. So now I only have my bass running and only the droney pad. You can also only have the bass and the drums again. And just have fun like this, just playing around with these different stems. And it feels really natural to me because it's I mean, we have the Allen and Heath mixer here. I have 4 EQ channels, and these are like my 4 stem channels, so there's nothing that I have to think about because it's all right here in front of me. If I wanted to go a step further, I can also apply different filters on a stem. So rather than taking the filter for the whole deck, I can just filter out the drums. I can also apply effects. Because usually when I apply effects to a track in Traktor, the whole track would sound a little bit like this. But let's say I want to do this with only the drums, because I want to mix out of the drums at the moment. Then I can just select my drum stem here, turn it on, and then if I apply the effect on it, only the drum stem will be affected. So you can hear how the drums get this like really slow stutter because I'm using this stretch effect at the moment, but the bass line and also the drones and the high hi-hats are still running. And then after you've done this and you got all this down and you know how it works, you can start mixing with stems. And I have another track loaded over here, and I just play a little bit for you now. I'm gonna start with switching the drum lines, then I'm gonna try to bring in this bass line here because the notes don't really match, but there are a couple notes that do match. And then once I've done this, I get into this track and then try to change the tempo a little bit with another groove. And yeah, just watch my hands and then we can talk about this later. Yeah, and that's basically how you can play with stems. And basically what I did was just, I switched a couple of drums. I prepared some cue points here, and I prepared some cue points here. And I wanted to have this more like electronic driving, techno-ish kind of track over here with this pretty aggressive drum line, which is, I really like it, but I wanted to switch it up and get a bit more of a hip-hop kind of vibe in there, like more like a fast R&B, dubsteppy bass music kind of track. And I thought it's pretty cool to have this running over here. And then I just started this track here on time. And all I had to do was switching out these two faders over here. There were some effects still on it, but this was the first step to get into the new track, because usually what I would do is I would try to get out the lows to bring in some new drums, or to get out the lows to bring in a new bass. And here I definitely only worked on stems over here. I didn't do any mixing, but this was on purpose, just to show off with a bit more impact what stems can do. I mean, you could also be twisting your EQ knobs on here and do the same stuff, but this is way more precise, and it got all the drums away, and so I could just go on there. The next thing I did was trying to get this bass line over here, which just is one tone, into something like this here. And so I'm just switching the bass lines right now. And I can see on the display where the bass hits, so I can see the different notes on here, because I see the little sausages of musical waves coming in there, and so I can just change in between them. Yeah, it looks like a sausage, like a Weisswurst, and we're in Germany.
New terminology, sausage waveforms. Let's go. You heard it here first.
Yeah, and the last thing I did was using the melody. And I had this delay on it, but I also had the filter on it. And then I just turned up the filter to get a little bit of high pass through it. And then I did the same thing with the vocals to add them on top.
Move your head back a bit. Head back.
Yeah? And after this was all done, I just added an effect on all these 4 stems, which is this really nasty sounding stretch effect over here. So let me just turn this on. Because I wanted to have this tempo change, and there's a tempo change in the track, and I wanted to get over there fast. So you can hear the stretch. It's one of my favorites because it sounds nasty. So, and then I just jumped to the other cue point where the drums were already like changing the tempo, and I got rid of the effect, turned the dry wet down, and now the tempo change is happening, and it goes into this new groove. That's basically it. So it's just, for me personally, I know our designers and our developers will say something different, but for me it's just a way of using an equalizer, but like a surgeon, because you know exactly what you take away and what you're not taking away. So rather of me turning all these knobs here, trying to get it right, but not really being able to get it right, this is what stems does for me when I play.
Cool. So we had a couple of questions from our viewers. So we've got a question from Honk 3000 in Germany. And the question is, can I use every single tractor effect on every single stem line on the stem deck?
Yes. So you can, like I just said, you have these effects. Like, I don't know if you can see it in the display. Right here, it says effect send at the moment. And then I have these small little buttons that I can use to switch between filter effects, like high pass, low pass filters, and my effect sends. And when I have the effect send turned on here, I can turn on each single stem like this. and then I just have to tell my tractor deck to which effect unit it should go. So if I only have the bass turned on, and I turn on my effect over here for deck B, then this stem will be affected by my effect.
Cool, thank you.
And I can use any effect, yeah.
So next question, machinist from Germany. Are there plans to integrate stems into Machiner? Question mark. Exporting stems straight out of machine would be would be cool.
It would definitely be cool, and I think since NI is very much about integration, I think this is something that's going to happen in the future, but I don't know any details on it.
So machinist integration is key. ... Any questions from you guys? Thoughts? Okay, 1 second, man.
I guess you're going to get into the tech side of things a bit more in a sec, but is there any thoughts on like source separation and trying to get existing tracks into stems, like on the fly, like user-based kind of interaction?
Can you rephrase the question a little bit?
Yeah, just you know, like you can grab a track and do some analysis on it and pull the drums out, not perfectly, but it's possible. Is there any thought of integrating that kind of technology?
I mean, when you think about the future, a lot of things are possible, or will be possible, hopefully. And especially the technique you're talking about of analyzing a track and then saying, I only want to have the the drums of this track or the bass line. I think it's an achievement that a lot of sound designers are working on for years, but to find an algorithm which can really split up these tracks and all these different frequencies. Like, my personal opinion is I hope that it will be possible someday, but I can't really tell you when and where, and I don't even know if we will see this happening, because there's so many masterminds trying to figure this out already. But, I mean, if it would be technically possible at some day, then sure, it will be possible to integrate it in some way.
Thank you. Great question. Anyone else? Okay.
Can you pre-listen some stem, part of stem inside one track? So maybe you can pre-listen just the drum part or the bass part inside a player, like your right side, already playing on just the drum, and you pre-listen maybe just the bass without put it on the public address.
Oh, so you mean you want to, if it's possible to pre-listen to one track, to queue up one track, like one stem in a track. At the moment, that's not possible as far as I know, but the designers will tell you more about it after me. Yeah.
Cool. Anyone else? Okay, good one. I like this.
Is it only possible to see the stems on the hardware, or can you see it also on your computer?
At the moment, you can only see it on hardware. There are a couple of solutions, like if you use the F1 from Native, then the pads in the F1 will look like an equalizer, where you can see if there's a part playing at the moment or not. You can also use a mapping command within Tractor, which is called pre-fader listening or pre-fader signal or something, where you could get MIDI messages out to any fader or to any controller which has LED lights and LED strips, so you can see it. But yeah, if you really want to see the displays, then you at the moment are bound to using these NI controllers with the displays. Yeah, and there will be a Tractor update somewhere in the future where you can see stems, but right now it's just like from the calculating power, like the power of the CPU is at the moment not strong enough to support stems on the display, or not at least not strong enough to support it for the biggest, for all the users. Yeah.
Cool. Great question. Thank you. We've got a question from Phases of Perception in Germany. How stretchable are the stems regarding tempo?
Well, it's the same algorithm that is used on all the other tracks in Tractor. So if you're used to stretch tracks up to 20% or something, which eventually will degrade in sound, but maybe you like that degradation, then that's definitely possible. So there's no difference between a normal track and a stem track.
Thank you. Okay. I think that's it for now, Eric.
All right.
Eric, thank you very much indeed.
Cool.
Give it up for Eric.
Thanks. Thanks, Tony.
And yeah, you'll be around, right? So yeah, so if you've got any individual questions for Eric, Eric's around all night. So if you want your geeky one-to-one questions, spectral analysis questions, go there. Eric's the man. Okay, so to remind you online, this is Native Sessions Berlin, presented by Electronic Beats. Next up, we have a developer talk. Wonderful, you're there, just like that. Give it up for Stewart Walker and Chad Carrier, people. That's my spot. No, that's my spot right there. You're in the limelight. It's your fault we're here. It's both of your faults. Okay. How are you, gentlemen? Good?
Doing all right.
Good.
Okay. I mean, it's an ongoing process, isn't it? It's still developing as we speak, but we'll talk about that a bit later. But for those of us who don't know who you are, tell us a bit about your roles at NI and how you got to be at NI. Starting with you, Chad, yeah.
Okay. My name's Chad Carrier, and I'm the product owner for Tractor at Native Instruments. And I started about 5 years ago with the company as product designer, and have been doing product design actually for quite a while. Originally came from M Audio beforehand. Some of you may have heard of this software called Torque. Guilty.
So it's your fault, or is it?
Yeah, Trigger Finger, the original one, that was mine too. And yeah, I got into this basically just from the love of electronic music. I actually went to recording school first, so recording engineer and things like that. But just with the way studios are moving into the home, into computers, it made more sense to kind of switch and focus on that area of the industry. Yep.
Stuart?
Yes, so I'm Stewart Walker, and I was producing techno music and playing techno music in the 90s and the 2000s. I started working with NI maybe about 4 years ago in the Tractor product design department. And over the last year, I'd say I've been transitioning to more of a mastering engineer role so that I could help to make the stems sound as good as tracks and kind of set up a protocol so that other people can do it as well.
Cool. So just to remind us all, and for those of us who have just stumbled across this online, what is stems?
4 tracks.
Well, technically speaking, it's 5, right?
Well, our file does contain 5 tracks, but
Okay.
you play 4.
Okay, so it's a multi-track audio format, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, and what can people do with it?
Well, as you saw Eric do just now, it's actually a very simple concept. Give you individual audio tracks from the song, and from there, kind of the sky's the limit. You can obviously adjust the volumes of the tracks, as we saw, but you can also affect them individually. And so being able to actually access portions of the song to do things with it is what stems will enable. Yep.
So I guess for Native, the whole stems ecosystem and project is a really huge undertaking, right? So tell us some of your thinking behind, why you felt it necessary to work on this new audio format, and why the need to push multi-track audio from a DJ performance perspective in this way.
Well, it basically comes from the fact that Native Instruments is obviously a production-oriented company with, starting with Reactor and Generator back in the day. We obviously are very into producing music. And so to be able to reach inside to your music as a DJ seemed to be a very important thing for us, and an important step, especially if a DJ wants to do any sort of production or remixing live. It's obviously, we've been able to do many things up to this point, being able to do looping and effects and cue point juggling and all this other kind of stuff to really allow a DJ to kind of cut apart a track and rearrange it. But to really be able to start taking that track and changing it into something of your own has been limited by the fact that you always have the original track there. You can do some things, right? You can use the EQ and filters to try to get parts out, but it never really does it all the way. So this seemed to be, this is something we needed to do in order to set the groundwork for things to come in the future. for DJs to be able to do additional things, to not only be able to layer drums on top of a track, but maybe actually replace the drums in a track.
Okay.
It's important to point out that the other kind of cool thing about stems is that it's the first time that you have a tradable format for multi-track audio, because before there were some studio standards like OMF or this type of thing, but it would be really difficult to buy or sell multi-track audio before this stems format was created. And so it not only does it give DJs this additional power, but it also kind of makes it easier for everybody to have access to the same power.
And it's obviously important to make the format open, right?
Yeah.
Why was it necessary? Apart from it, want it to be adopted, were there any other reasons?
Well, I mean, that's really what it is. Stems is, to be honest, not that much of a technical undertaking to achieve. To make Traktor playback for stems, yes, it did take development time to make it happen, but that's not the key. The key is the content. It doesn't matter if we make stem decks if nobody releases music in stem format. And nobody's going to want to release stem format if they know that all that work is only going to go for a certain section of DJs out there. So that's why we made it an open format, to ensure that all the content providers out there would know that they have a big audience for this type of work. So if they take the extra steps and put in the extra effort to make these stem files, that work is going to pay off, that they can actually sell them to a large group. And that was the most important aspect.
Thank you. So maybe Stewart, you can answer this question. So, both of you, but I'll start with Stewart. So essentially, the deployment of stems is 3 phases, right? So you've got the stems building and developing, you've got Traktor integration, and you've got obviously the developing of the stem creator tool. Can you talk us through the process of development and particularly some of the challenges, extra challenges you had to deal with in bringing it to market?
I actually think that Chad is better suited to answer this question, because I was involved in the beginning of, my difficulty at the time was trying to find the right container format.
Okay.
Because we evaluated waves and MP3s and anything that could support multi-channel audio without changing the specification. But oftentimes there was maybe a license issue that we didn't want to force people to pay for a license of using some, not esoteric, but proprietary software encoding.
So you ended up with using MP4, right? That's
Yeah.
my understanding. And I guess MP4 was open standard because it's based on... Okay, cool. All right. I didn't know that you would have to go the rounds. That's good to know. So what were the other contenders?
I like FLAC. I was really into FLAC files. But I think that there were problems perhaps because we wanted to make sure that stems could work not only on desktop computers but also could work on iPads.
Okay.
And anything that would not be supported by iTunes would therefore not be easily transferable to an iPad, which is another reason why MP4 fit well within our purview.
Good to know. Okay, so key development trajectory challenges.
Well, development of stems actually probably started about 5 years ago, because we needed to actually prove that the computer could do this, that they could actually play back multiple files at once with ridiculously low latency so a DJ could do all his normal interactions with it. And that was one of the reasons that the remix decks were created. This was partially a proof of concept just to show that we could crunch this much data in real time. So we've actually had the concept of the stem deck since then, and it was just a matter of building everything up and finding the right time when it was actually technically feasible to do this. Because it's not only playing back the files that's important, there's an additional aspect of compression and limiting, which we're going to talk about, and that also needs to happen in real time with virtually no latency. And so that was another developmental challenge that we had to face.
And in terms of Traktor integration?
Traktor integration, I mean, that's really what this was from the ground up, is just how do we take the deck that we currently have that plays one track and stretch it out, kind of stack it up so it can play 4 at once, but all still using the same common controls that you have for a normal track deck. So as you saw Eric doing, he can do all the normal stuff that he can with the regular tracks. So we felt this was very important that stem deck shouldn't be some other bizarre deck flavor that has its own behaviors and idiosyncrasies that you aren't going to be ready for. It should just all feel the same. In fact, if you don't switch these decks into stem view, you might not even know you're playing a stem track from time to time, because you'll just load it up, hit play, and everything will work like normal. Yeah.
Nice one. But yeah, I'm trying to think, obviously you spent a long time, 5 years developing this, each stage of development, going to see your team, sharing the ideas. What was the kind of main head-scratching moment, when it was like, you're up against a brick wall? Was it just the latency thing, or were there other technical challenges that were...
I would say it was mostly with the DSP, getting the sound quality up to where we want, because simply just taking 4 stems and playing them back together, it'll sound okay. You'll be able to dance to it and you'll have a good time, but it might not have the same exact qualities as the stereo master that you might get from just a normal download like Beatport or iTunes or something like that. So to be able to solve this problem was the most difficult thing for us, figuring out where does this need to go, these DSP blocks in the signal path. How do we save the settings for these DSP blocks in the file format and all this stuff, and then making the tool that enables the user to set these parameters, as we'll see a little later.
Well, that leads us nicely along to the tool itself. So while you're setting up your laptop and with the STEM Creator tool, so we're going to talk through that. Stewart, perhaps you talk to us a little bit about why it was important to incorporate compression and limiting into the tool.
Sure. And the other thing that I wanted to add to what Chad just said was that not only did we have to create a good sounding limiter compressor to make the stem sound good, but we also had to make it CPU efficient enough so that you could run up to 4 examples of this stem compressor simultaneously without damaging your playback or anything. And your question was why did we need compression and limiting? And in my opinion, like Chad said, with 4 tracks playing back simultaneously, you can probably get within 90% of the quality of a stereo track. But where that kind of fails is that the compression, people say it glues the song together. And so if you can push up against a compressor, then you can kind of make the 4 elements sound like they belong together, and they no longer sound like a mix, but they sound like a song that you can dance to.
All right. So we have on the screen the STEM tool.
Good. Okay, so yeah, this is it. This is the STEM Creator. It's probably one of the more simple applications we've created at Native Instruments. It's just a single window. Yeah.
Let's center it a little bit.
Sure. I can center it now, but I will have to slide it out of the way in just a moment.
You're happy, man? Can you see? You're happy? Are you all happy? None of you guys, all you say, no, don't you know, we're back. No, you happy? Okay, cool. All right.
Cool. All right, so yeah, this is a single window application. We wanted to make the process of building stems as easy as possible. And as we mentioned before, stems is four audio parts that you get to play. But our stem file also includes the original stereo master, so that if you don't have software capable of playing the stem file, you can still use it. You can still play it in stereo on your iPad, in iTunes, Windows Media, whatever. It'll just default to the stereo track. So we had to build a tool that allows you to put all 5 of these audio files in. So what we're seeing here on the screen are 4 drop areas for files. And right now you can see they're labeled drums, bass, synths, and vox. Those are just standby. But to answer that question that just came up, are they always laid out the same? The answer is we try to. We try to have some consistency in how we build the stem sets, and we also recommend these same guidelines to anyone who builds stems, just so the DJ is familiar. When you load up a stem track, it's good to know that the first fader is going to be your drums. The second one is going to be your bass. If the track has vocals in it, it'll probably be the 4th one. Things like this, just so every time you load up a stem track, you aren't totally lost. You can actually build up some muscle memory and just work with them individually. So they're already labeled here, and I can just take 4 parts. I've got them here, drums, bass, pads, and percussion. Drag them right in, and we can see they're now laid out right there, 1, 2, 3, 4. And there's a little drop area for the stereo master, which I will drop in at the bottom. So that's it. I've added the five audio files, and now I'm ready to maybe change the names. I won't type them in right now, but you can see you can click on synths and rename it pads. Vox, in this case, could be renamed to percussion to match what's the parts in this track. And then you can also even choose different colors for these parts if you don't like the defaults that are there. And we also recommend certain coloring schemes for the parts, and I think Stewart will detail those in a moment. But the next step, and probably the most important one, is this section down at the bottom, which is the dynamics section. And this is the compressor and limiter. We actually have a basic view which just gives you a compressor with some preset behaviors. But Expert gives you control of everything. You even get the additional ratio, attack release, and everything like that, plus the release time of the limiter. So this really allows you to dial in exactly what you need in order to get the stems to match the sound quality of the stereo master. Now I'm going to try to play this, and it should play through here. Let's see what happens. Yes, good. Okay, so I hit play. Obviously, this app allows us to play back the audio and hear what we're doing. And we have a little switch here that's stem mix or master file. And I'm going to jump ahead here, try to get into a little more. Okay. So we're hearing the master file right now. This is the stem mix right here. As you can hear, Stewart got pretty close already. Right, just by processing the stems. We haven't even done any final compression or anything yet. But yeah, there's a little difference right now. There's more compression on the drums. The bass is kind of sitting higher all the time compared to the stem version, where that sustained bass drops. So I'm going to quickly try to fix this. I'm not going to get this perfect right now. This is not the best monitoring environment, but I should get close. Just all this. Maybe. Not bad. So once you've got this dialed right, you should be able to toggle back and forth between the stem and master version and not hear any difference anymore. And that's when you know you've got the stuff matched. So I'm going to jump back here. We'll try it again. Got those heavy drums. Right? No difference. Nice. All right, so that's it. That's what we need to do to get the audio quality right. And all we do is we hit the export button in the bottom corner, and out will pop our MP4 file all ready to play. And you can just sell that, give it to your friends, drop it into Traktor, and play it. It's very, very simple.
Cool. Stewart, you've got this term which I quite like. It's called forensic mastering.
Yeah.
What's forensic mastering?
Well, when I was creating all of the initial stem sets, I only had the stereo masters from the labels. And so I had to use, first of all, I had to group all of the sounds into the respective stems of drums, bass, synthesizers, etc. And then using my DAW, I had to apply the appropriate equalization and compression to each stem to get the track within that 90% that I was talking about, so that the stem creator tool could kind of finish the job. And so, yeah, I had to kind of teach myself how to get the exact result of the way the kick drum sounded, or the way the kick drum and bass drum kind of got squashed together using side chaining sometimes, or just basic compression and equalization.
Another string to your bow there. Another string to your technical bow.
Exactly.
Yeah, but I mean, this is only kind of necessary when you're re-releasing old tracks, right?
Right, because we had maybe a 3 or 4 year backlog of remix sets that we had the content for, and we wanted to use these as kind of the first testing ground for the stems.
Yeah, but I mean, otherwise, if you are producing new tracks today, you can just process the stems at the same time you do your stereo master, and therefore save all the forensic remastering that Stewart had to do. And actually, the building stems from the beginning is much easier than trying to go back and do it after the fact.
Sure.
I'm going to open up for questions now. And we've got a question in bold here, like in, it's much bigger. It says, many people are asking, where do I get the creator tool and when? Bold, thank you. So I can answer that because I was told before you. I was told before you. So why not for me? Yeah. I know you're the tractor guy, but I know something you don't because I've got other friends. So anyway, next Monday, if you sign up on stemsmusic.com, it'll be available for beta. Everyone can use it. So sign up, stemsmusic.com. You'll be on this mailing list, and on Monday, you'll get a nice little link, download, do your thing. Is that cool? So on the subject of Creator Tool, there's a couple of other things. So first of all, it's, as with STEM's format, it's open, right? So there'll be an NI version. Actually, talk us through the different, talk us what it means. There's an open version, NI version, and then there's, because it's open, you'll have, developers will have the opportunity to get their teeth into the code, right?
Yeah, so as we mentioned, this is an open file format, meaning that it's not proprietary to NI. There's no license fees to use it or anything, and so we are encouraging everybody, any manufacturer, software developer, anything like that, to go ahead and implement support for stems in any way they want. If that means just being able to read the stem files and play them back, cool. If that means being able to create the stem files somehow, even better. I just dream of the day of being able to sit in my DAW and when I'm done, just go export to stems and out comes the file and there's no need to muck around with this stem creator tool. So this is all open and we will have specs published that show how the file is assembled, the metadata that goes in there, and we'll even include some code examples of how we created the stem file just using some very basic tools and some Python scripts. Like I said, it wasn't actually that difficult to do this file. And so, yeah, we encourage everyone to go ahead and implement this in any way they can.
Nice one, thank you. You guys got any questions you want to ask? No? My man again. I like you, man. Your questions are deep. Have you got a deep one for us?
I'm just wondering about loops. Like, if this is going to, like, sort of be pervasive through all of Native Instruments products over time, or are there plans for that?
Can you say that again, please?
Well, at the moment, you're like showing us some really cool stuff with like whole tracks, yeah, like long tracks. Like, what about loops? Are there plans for integration into like other products? Yeah.
I think we covered that already with the remix deck, actually. So,
but yeah, to be fair, I mean, it can be used like a remix deck. We've actually seen some people create like loop packs where it's a stem, but the point is to loop maybe 4 or 8 bars of it and then being able to layer that on top and fade the parts in and out. So it kind of becomes a 4-layered loop. It could be done that way, absolutely.
Thank you. Anyone else?
Hi. Are the days of the mastering engineers numbered?
No. No, in fact,
It's definitely a new business opportunity, right? Of course.
I mean, it's more work for you now, right?
I think it's more work, additional work for mastering engineers, and it's also an additional income stream for labels, because you can sell music in multiple formats, and with music sales going down, this allows a little bit more opportunities. So I think that I wouldn't say that the mastering engineers' days are numbered at all.
Yeah, and in case it's not clear, this stem creator tool is not a mastering tool. Not in any way, shape, or form. It is only a compressor and limiter that's contained in here. Mastering is much, much more than just compression and limiting. There's EQing, there's all kinds of other stuff that goes on, and this does not negate that work in any way. All of that work is still just as important. In fact, mastering engineers are probably going to be earning more money now because it's going to take them more time to prepare stuff like this. So it's good day for mastering engineers.
1 second.
I wanted to ask, would there be any way how to link each one of these 4 layers to an actual mixer? Well, you have those, as you said, you have those 4 knobs on the mixer. Would there be any way to link it regarding frequency?
I mean, we would be able to do something like being able to output each of the stem tracks to a channel on the mixer. So like the zone mixer that's up here right now, it's a 4-channel mixer. And we could make it so that each stem goes to one of the separate channels so that you could do stem mixing right then.
Yeah,
But that would use up all 4 of your channels. So I guess you'll need to have 2 zone mixers up there to mix that way. But it's technically possible. There's nothing. Once you read the audio data out of the file, you can do whatever you want with it. Yeah.
Right, okay.
Currently not possible in Traktor, but yeah, it can be.
Is that you're talking about individual control of each stem, right? Oh, right, okay. That's a question for Eric. Yeah, keep that in mind. We'll talk to Eric. Eric will know. Okay, so this gentleman here and then you, right? Hold on.
Hi, what is the limit of the codec, the file? Is 5 stereo track in MP4 codec, or you can make more inside the format, like OMF with 16 tracks or more? It's a limit, or you can make more?
MP4 can support many more, but within our own usage, we would only support 4 stems and 1 stereo track, because I think we found that was kind of the sweet spot for something that you can DJ and remember what's on each channel when you're performing.
Okay, so it's only a format for DJ. You cannot expand that for export multi-track session between studios and...
Correct, yeah, this is intended specifically as a playback format for DJs.
And is it a compression inside different tracks? So I see it's wave uncompressed. And what is the compression of the file?
We're using AAC encoding, but we're using the highest possible settings, the 256 kbps bitrate with variable bitrate compression. We felt variable bitrate was very important because a lot of these stems have silence in them. The vocals don't start for 2 minutes, so all that silence gets compressed down to almost nothing. So it's a way to keep the stem file as small as possible, which again is another reason for keeping it at 4. Mm-hmm. But yeah, it's not a limitation of the MP4 container. It could contain way more, but our stem file, just to make it consistent for everybody, is 4.
I was wondering, you were saying that you would really like to see other competitors to export directly from your DAW anything, the stems format, but you've presented us the compressor and the limiter. And how can I ensure that the sound that I will export from this DAW will be the same that I will hear in Traktor? Is this compressor also available for Constructor?
Yes, it is. So that DSP library is also part of the free materials that are given away to developers. So that compressor and limiter algorithm that's in here is the same one that's in Traktor. It's the same one that we'll provide so anyone else can implement it in their playback device or in their DAW as a preview. So you can actually set it right then and there and say, yep, that's the sound I want. Yep.
And with that said, I think it's important to point out that the compressor which you encounter in your DAW or in the Stem Creator tool is not actually compressing the sound and hard coding that. It's just writing its settings into metadata so that the same exact compressor will behave the same exact way when you play back your track in Traktor.
Thank you. Great question. So on the subject of creating stems, can you guide us through some kind of best practice, things to kind of look out for in the preparation of stems?
I think I need something more specific.
Oh, okay. So I've made my track,
Mm-hmm.
you know, in a DAW, and I want to go from my track to creating a stems for audio format file.
Okay, so in my opinion, the best practice would just be once you have kind of finished the mix of your track, you would disable all of your mastering plugins on your stereo channel. So you would not want, for example, a limiter on your stereo channel. What you would do is, once you've created your final mix, then you can begin to group your drums into a drum track and your bass lines or bass drones or whatever into your bass track and so forth. And then it becomes a question of how much of the equalization you've done in the stereo master, because any plugin which you have in the stereo master must then be applied individually to the individual stems that you're going to export. So once you have made your, actually this is simple, once you have grouped your tracks and exported them, then you just load them into the stem creator tool and set the compressor.
But what if I really like the sound that I created with the limiter and bus compressor on the master bus, and I take those off, and my track sounds completely alien to me?
Then it's actually, I mean, to be honest, it's going to be a leap of faith, because if you have a favorite compressor by Isotope or by Waves or something, those are really expensive and really CPU intensive plugins. And I don't think that it was our goal to mimic the best compressor on the market and give it away for free. So you will have to work with the limitation that if you have a favorite limiter or compressor in your stereo signal, you'll have to make the mix sound as good as you can by compressing the individual stems and then exporting them and using the stem compressor.
Thank you. A couple of other questions. Simon from Germany saying, how many stems are available to buy? Are there stems for every track? Don't know what it means by the last question, but are there stems to buy? There are, right?
Oh, yeah. I think we launched the stems in our online shop, so I think we did 500 at once. And to answer the next question, are there stems for every track? That's going to be a decision for the labels.
A couple of other ones. Would it be possible to sample the stems into a remix deck? So will you be able to capture elements of a stem and put it into a remix deck within Traktor?
Yeah, it's a great idea. Traktor doesn't do that yet, but you can bet we thought of that too.
Okay. So Hardy from Germany. I work with Control S4 and F1. Why don't I see the stem deck in Traktor as it displays on the S8?
It's as Eric was explaining before. Right now, it does take too much CPU power to draw all those waveforms on our screen. It sounds silly, I know, because you see them happening on the S8 and the D2, and that is controlled by the same computer that's playing this all back. But that's because we're using some new technologies, some new graphics frameworks to control the screens on the S8 and D2. And so our next step is to actually do similar transitions to the graphics framework of Traktor to be able to allow graphic accelerated drawing and performance, because right now we don't have that.
Thank you. Just a couple more questions. This has been good, by the way. It's been really useful. It's been useful, right? It's been good. So another bold one here. Many users are asking, where can I buy stems tracks? So basically, for you online somewhere, there are a few partners in place already, more to come. But currently there are Beatport, Tracksource, Bleep, What People Play, Juno, Was a Beat. That's quite a few online stores. A lot of partner labels like Toolroom, CR2, Defected. So the list is growing. Remember, it's early, exciting days for stems, right? So I guess once this tool is available on Monday, who knows? The world, Okay, so any last thoughts, questions for you guys? No, you're good? Okay. Chad, Stewart, thank you so much. It's been really useful.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
So there's no going home or getting a drink and getting bladdered now, You're going to have a million questions, So you are around for questions, right?
I'll be here.
Yep.
Cool, that's
we'll
all right.
be here.
You can go now. Thank you.
Thanks. I answered that already.
Do you want to answer it or do you want to go? Which one is he?
Oh, Chad said we answered it, so I guess we're good. Can I stand up now?
You're good? Okay, go on then. Thank you once again. Okay, so, you good? It's been useful? Yeah? Okay. So I need to get a show of hands. How many of you are using Traktor right about now? Oh, quite a lot of you. Cool. Okay. And how many of you are on this stems thing already? Like got a beta from a friend of a friend of a friend of a friend? Okay, I feel that's all right. So on Monday, it'll probably be all of you, right? Yeah, I guess. All right. So the penultimate part of our event, I'll tell you the last part. Okay, so these guys are, let me just get them up. So, cool, were you good?
Yes. Good. Sure. Hi.
So, before we get into the deep down and dirty, you're actually going to be playing for this after this, right? So you're going to be playing a stems focused DJ set, right?
Yeah. Right.
Brilliant. And while they're playing, the bar will be free. Yeah, did you hear that? So DJ sets, bar free.
Couldn't ask for more, right?
Thanks, Native. Thanks, Electronic Beats. So, guys, you've had the pleasure of working with stems for a while, right? How's it been?
Yeah, I'm working with the stem since early March, I think. At the beginning, it was a little bit strange, you know, but at the end...
Strange in what way?
Yeah, because every new step, you need to understand what happens, what's the new and what's the future and what we are going on, no? So it's at the beginning was strange because it's like, okay, it's stems, but just 4. You know, I was listening some question about if we can play much more stems than 4. And then you have to understand it's just four stems, and it's a group of stems because you have percussions. You can play just a conga if you have a track with 32 tracks, you know. And at the end, everything changed when you are buying your music or listening promos and everything. So your mind is changing with every step. And with the stems, everything changed again. I can remember when I was playing with vinyl, when I was listening to the music on vinyl, I was listening to the music just to take the vinyl and play the vinyl. When I start to play with Traktor, everything changed again because I was listening to the music, the audio files, like, okay, I don't like this track, but I like this part of the track, this loop, and I can loop it on Traktor. And now, it's also the same, but the next step, I don't like the whole track, but maybe I love the melody, or I love this vocal track, or I love a small part of the track, but not the whole track. So everything is changing again. That's why you have to understand and you have to start to thinking about in the future and your own work.
Yeah, it's funny that that you said you had to learn or to adapt, because I actually started DJing with Traktor, so I was kind of aware with the whole workflow and very familiar with it. And for me, it was kind of from a performance standpoint, it was actually the thing what I was waiting for my whole life, to be able to have a little bit more control over what you're doing. Not only the EQ like Eric showed before, so you can like just have the EQ only on the drums, and it's like just the next thing what I was really waiting for, especially as a producer myself, being able to just export my tracks in 4 stems and play them, and have a little bit more, just more freedom how I play them, and can still leave space open for performance, not have to do everything in the track. So it was kind of, a wish come true.
Well, for you, was it, what was the learning curve like in terms of going from Traktor and remix decks to the use of stems?
No learning curve really. I just press play and you have 4 failures. I mean, what you're gonna need to learn? It's if you just understand the idea that you have like just 4 parts, you just press play and you go on with your usual set. It's nothing more that you have to, for me at least, that I didn't need to change anything, really.
So both of you, you're using it primarily as DJing, and what is your setup for DJing?
My setup already is it's a D2 plus the X1 laptop with tractor. I'm using also the machine for some percussions also, and of course the mixer.
And with the machine, is that as a plugin, or?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Cool. And your setup is?
I'm playing with the S4, and I've been using F1s in the past for controlling remix decks, and that kind of got the whole setup got kind of obsolete. So right now I'm also playing with the D2s. Just yeah.
So for both of you, can you recall a time where you were either DJing or were performing live or making beats where, you know what, if I didn't have stems, I couldn't do this?
Yeah, for me, I always felt like I started out as a producer. I became a DJ just recently because it's also important, like to put your name out there with DJ sets and just also explore music in a different way. So for me, it was kind of just a way to really marry both worlds: being a producer, a live performer, a DJ, and I can just decide on the go what I want to change, what I want to do. If I want to just play a track, I just play a DJ set, but I can still load up a stem and just start working with it, add some remix decks, some loops, so I can just, without preparation, I can really change my whole set just by this and really get back into the standard DJ set with just loading in a next track. So yeah, it's just, for me, really playful. It's like a playground.
A loop and stem-based playground. Una?
Yeah, I think for me it's the middle step between the DJ and the live set, you know? Because it's not a completely live set. When you're playing a live set, you have all your parts, all your stems separate, and you can play everything. So this is the middle way between the DJ and the live set. So at the end, it's really nice, no? Because you don't need to play with two laptops or 2 or 3 different softwares. You can do everything on Tractor. And for me, when I started to play with Tractor, the most important was try to build the session, trying to deconstruct the tracks. So now it's much more possible to deconstruct the tracks to construct a session.
Marcel?
Could you ask a question? Or?
I could ask a question, or I could ask another one. But I'll ask another one because it's kind of leading on from what you've just said. So what's great at the moment is that still early days. You guys have obviously worked with stems and you've created your own stems. You've had access to stems creator tool, so you can see the possibilities. So I guess in the next few months, we're going to start to see not just new music available in stems format, but perhaps some legacy tracks, classics, maybe some reissues will be available in stems format. There's this kind of discussion going on around online that, you know, on one hand, this is obviously fantastic, but then on the other hand, it maybe opens up to possibilities to, you know, new lawsuits or new ways of, you know, sample use problems. And what's your take on this?
The 90% of the people is stealing a lot of samples and vocal tracks from another guys. So if you want to take my track, I prefer if you are using the main vocal super clean than not the vocal with a hi-hat, with a conga, with a bass drum filtered and something like that. So because it sounds really weird. So if you are telling me, I prefer if you are doing really clean than not destroying my track. But at the end, you can find the stems from, I don't know, maybe Queen. I have stems from Queen, the vocal track, the bass lines, everything. So you can find it at the end. We have an amazing tool. It's internet, you know, and you can find whatever you want at the end. Of course, it's much easier now, but like they say, every label and every artist can decide if they want to release stems or not. So for me, I'm really excited because when I'm playing a live set, I'm playing just my tracks. And when I play in stems, I was playing my tracks. But now I can play my tracks on a stem and I can play also tracks from another artist. So I can do mix between a DJ set and a live set, but with the tracks from other artists. So it's really nice at the end. You can develop something different. It's a question of develop something special at the end.
What's your take on it, Marcel?
Yeah, I can totally agree with what Una said about like somebody using my tracks or my stems to make a remix or a mashup or whatever. Then I would prefer that he takes the single parts and it's like a good quality and not like a shit version of it. And of course, people will always find a way how to sample something or to get some single parts of a track somewhere. But in the end, that also always means like there's more good music out there. Maybe more remixes, more bootlegs of like some stuff. And I mean, from a copyright issue, that's a problem. But I think from a just musical standpoint, it's nice that just there could be more cool remixes and stuff.
And I guess stems is just a tool, right? It's because, the same way as a sampler or a DAW. So cool. You guys got any questions? Not at the moment? Okay, cool. Oh, was that someone pointing down at the screen? Okay, just at the screen. Okay, cool. Oh, thank you. So, from Dirty Sam, if that's his real name, do you guys feel that there are now live performers instead of DJs? Good question.
I'm a DJ when I'm playing my DJ sets. I'm a live performance when I'm playing my performance set. I'm playing also with a live band, so I'm playing like a musician in a live band. When I'm playing the piano, I'm feeling pianist. And when I'm cooking right at home, I'm feeling like a chef. So it's not question of egos and what you are thinking now, or if you are thinking you are playing live set because live set is much better than DJ set or what else. It's about the music. You are trying to make a show for the people, and the audience is the most important. It's not important if you are feeling DJ, a live performance, pianist, drummer, or whatever you want. It's about the music, and try to put the music for the people.
Big.
Yeah, nice.
I tell you, man.
Told them.
Yeah, I also think it always depends on how you use it. I mean, you can just use stems to make a nice, easy transition from one track to the other, and don't really change a lot in the track. So when I use it that way, I just feel as a DJ. But when I play my own stems that I created myself, and I can like put in stuff out, exchange the drums, then I feel more as a live act. So it always depends on how you use it. Like every technology which is available, it always depends on how you want to use it, and that makes you feel a certain way, of course. But it's about of the concept. If you want to be a live act, then you can be it. You can it's a limited version of a live act, but you can still add more gear to it. So yeah, always depends on how you use it.
Okay. So I asked this question to Chad and Stewart, I guess from a developer perspective, but from you being artists, DJs, talk us through some key kind of best practices for A, putting together stems, and B, performing with stems.
Yeah, well, for me, I always used, for mixdown, I always group my drums into one group. I always had a group with bass. I always had a group with synths, and I always had a group with effects and vocals. So I kind of was rolling with a 4-stem scheme for mixing down my tracks anyways. And also for playing live, you just have 4 fingers on one hand. So I was playing Ableton Live with Ableton Live sometimes.
I have 5.
5, yeah, but the thumb is not. It's not in the same.
Technically speaking, right, the thumb's not a finger.
You only got 4 fingers, right? And yeah, if you have like more than 4 tracks per track, like more than 4 groups, then there could be you don't have enough fingers. You're just busy with like putting in and putting out stuff. And for me, I kind of was thought the limitation to 4 stems is totally fine. And yeah, I kind of played with remix decks before, so I kind of just exported my tracks into 4 groups, cut them up in different sections, loaded them up into the remix decks, or like you would do with Ableton Live. So now it's just an easier way to really just be able to play your tracks out with some kind of amount of options that you have, but not too much. It's always good to limit yourself when you want to play live, because you just have two hands. You cannot do everything. So it's a good thing that you have like this limitation also.
UNER?
Yeah, I'm completely right with him. At the end, we were talking about before, because you have to be much more concentrated when you are playing at the moment with the stems. You have the 4 channels of the mixer, and you have the 4 and 4 from the 2 D2s. You have the stems, you have the normal tracks. You have a lot of things to do. You have effects, you have filters, you have everything, and you have to be much more concentrated. So, like he said, it's better when you have some limits, and try to understand the limits and try to play with the limits and put the 100% of the limits. So at the end, it's a nice tool, but you have to be concentrated and you have to be on the right way at the end, because of course you can make a really nice set, but you can also destroy it. Yeah. So forget the shots during the set time, you know. So you have to be concentrated and you have to be clear. What do you want to do?
Yeah.
But not during the set time. At home, you have to work a lot at home.
Yeah.
So with your tracks, maybe you don't want to put a kick drum, and you have to use different stems from your tracks. So you have to be prepared from home. You have to work at home a lot. It's not just about the 2 or 3 or 4 hours from the DJ set.
That on the one hand, but also if you get lost, you can still just push up all 4 faders, turn off the effects, and there's just a track running. So even if it could maybe be overwhelming for people that you have like so much possibilities to do, less is always more. You don't have to use everything. So, and if you get lost, just push up all faders and it's still running, everything's back to normal. So
I'm going to take you back a step and talk a little bit about your set, because you mentioned that you only use 1 D2 when you play live. So for people thinking about getting D2s, obviously traditionally people think, oh, 2 turntables, 2 CDJs, 2 D2s, but you can actually use 1, yeah? What's the difference between using just the 1 in terms of DJing and controlling both decks as opposed to having 2?
Yeah, of course, with 2 D2s, it's much more easier because you have one hand for one of the decks and the other one for the other one. But you can do it also with just one D2. Of course, you can share between the decks, and it's super easy at the end. So it's really comfortable. I'm playing with the D2 and the X1 for the effects, and it's really easy and super comfortable at the end.
Thank you for that. Questions for you guys? 9? Okay, cool. All right, so before you go and do your thing on the decks, is there anything that we should think about before Monday when the Stems Creator tool is available to download?
Yeah, start mixing in groups.
So mixing in groups?
Mixing in groups, yeah.
Yeah, maybe the same, but...
DJing in groups?
Yeah.
So DJing in groups and mixing in groups?
Mixing in groups.
Okay.
And like considering the mastering process, all dynamics things that you do on the master, you have to be able kind of to reproduce them with a stem creator tool. So for me as a producer, I always think about how can I make my mix down better to make it able to have my stereo master and the 4 stems sound alike. So yeah, it's always for me it's a good way to like improve your mix down skills.
Yeah, it was the same for me. When I'm working on my own productions, I'm really focused on trying to make the best sound. And I was really impressed at the first time I did the stems, because it sounds perfect at the end.
Nice one. Okay, so before I let you do your thing, what should we expect to hear from you? And what should we expect to hear from you?
Well, I'm going to play almost only stems of my own tracks. And it's going to be a kind of a live set thing. So, yeah.
UNER?
And I'm playing mix. I'm playing also the 80% of stems with my tracks and tracks from other artists as well.
We very much look forward to hearing it. Marcel, Una, thank you very much indeed.
Thank you, man.
be waiting there. I'll be waiting there. I'll be waiting there.
Yeah. you.